Hi, this is Jeff Wimmer from Studio Cycles and StudioCycles.com, and in this short YouTube video I want to talk about the best bikes for home use. Now, most people who buy bikes for home use, an indoor bike for home use, and I've done a video similar to this on my channel, but it's April 2012, and I always take into consideration the conversations that I have with people, their experiences, etc., etc. When I try to put forth a video with information to aid and to be helpful for people to make an educated and a correct choice. First of all, I want to say, in my opinion, bikes that have perimeter weighted flywheels typically are the best. And the big reason for that is bikes with perimeter weighting, they generate aggressive inertia. Now, most people who ride these bikes, I'd say a large percentage, are not cyclists. They don't have a developed pedal stroke. And I think left to most people's own devices when they get on an exercise bike, or even a bicycle for that matter, a lot of times the pedal stroke is an up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down pedal stroke. And I call that a Stairmaster pedal stroke. It's in fitness, a movement or an exercise that has the least amount of impact, that is the most fluid, is always, always, always hands down the best exercise. Swimming obviously is best. I think cycling is a close second, but only if you don't get run over by a bus or somebody in a car who's texting or adjusting their radio or shaving or putting on eyeliner doesn't run you over and kill you. That's bad exercise for sure. But bikes that have perimeter weighted flywheels, and most perimeter weighted flywheels are chain driven, in my estimation they're the best, because if you don't have a pedal stroke, you immediately start to develop a pedal stroke on a perimeter weighted flywheel bike the second you start using it. And the reason being, perimeter weighted flywheels generate very aggressive inertia. And why that's important is aggressive inertia, whether you know it or not, demands a fluid 360-degree pedal stroke. And that's especially important for runners who are rehabbing. As we get older, the more fluid the movement we're involved in is just critically important, especially if you've had an impact-filled life. If you're a runner, a boxer, a bungee jumper with hard landings. That's kind of facetious, but the great thing about perimeter weighted flywheels that produce aggressive inertia is that you produce endorphins very quickly. So you feel good fast on the bike and you want to stay on the bike, and subconsciously you register it as a pleasurable activity. I've taught thousands of spinning classes. I was a professional cyclist a long time ago. My ass is on a bike seat 5-6 days a week, or I get homicidal. And I ride and tune every single bike that goes into my stores. I have the only 2 indoor cycling specific brick and mortar stores in the world. And this warehouse right here is certainly one of a kind in terms of what we have in this place. So this is a 15,000 square foot warehouse. We hand tune and pro build every bike that we sell. Anywhere else you buy a bike online, they simply process your credit card and send you a box. Most used bikes that are found online come from used fitness equipment companies. And what most used fitness equipment companies do is there's a term that's thrown around pretty loosely. They say that the bikes have been cleaned and serviced. Cleaning and servicing a bike can mean as little as wiping it down, fluffing it up, oiling the chain, and that's it. And typically when used bikes are acquired by companies like myself, or big giant used fitness equipment companies with, you know, fancy slick glossy websites that all seem to harvest the same text and have the same stock photo. We all want those bikes because they're valuable. The difference between us and them is that when we do a used bike, for example, this is a Star Trek Spinner Pro. We tear it down to the bare frame. We go through the entire bike, and for consumers we do a lifetime warranty. You'll also notice we put brand new clip pedals on most all of the refurbished bikes. Here's a perfect example here. This is a Schwinn Johnny G Spinner Pro. This is a 15-year-old bike. New bearings in the bottom bracket, that's the crank area, new bearings in the flywheel, new pads, new saddle, $100 pedals. That's just how we do it. And when we refurbish bikes, that's what we do. We tear them down to the bare frames. We go through the entire bike. If you're local in Southern California and you go to our Laguna Niguel store, or our store in Venice where we have 40 to 50 bikes in each store, we even will repair your bike for free. You do have to bring it to us, but if you're outside of California and you order a bike from us, we'll send you parts for your bike for free for as long as you own it. And I will tell you, we have very, 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 very few calls on the bikes we sell. Typically it's a peripheral issue, a pedal or a saddle, and even those are very, very rare. Probably the most common call I get is my bike makes noise, and that's because you're not in a spin class, you don't have 20 or 30 people yakking, you don't have a stereo blasting, and you hear the bike. I personally tune bikes by how they feel, not by how they sound. Now back to the perimeter weighting. The Schwinn AC Performance, which is one of our best-selling bikes, if you notice, it has perimeter weighting. If you look at the Star Trek Spinner Pro, that, my friend, is perimeter weighting. Another Spinner NXT, perimeter weighting. These are Schwinn Evolutions, perimeter weighting. That big mass of weight along the edge of the flywheel, right there, that is perimeter weighting. Now, we have one bike. It is belt driven because belt driven bikes typically have flat skinny flywheels. There are two on the market. One has a very small aluminum flywheel. It's the lightest flywheel and it produces no inertia whatsoever, and I think it provokes a negative pedal stroke. That's my humble opinion. The other one has a larger flywheel. It does produce a little bit of inertia. That would be the Le Mans. The Le Mans and the Kaisers, which are the two belt-driven bikes in the industry, are very smooth and very quiet, but they don't produce any, they don't produce much or any at all inertia. And that's huge. I think that's the most glaring dynamic. So we do carry one home bike. It's called the X Series Momentum. This is a belt-driven bike, and it's very unusual because it has a perimeter weighted flywheel, but it's belt driven, so it's whisper quiet. Other bikes that have perimeter weighted flywheels, here's another Schwinn Johnny G Spinner Pro, 15 years old, fully refurbished, Star Trek Johnny G Spinner Elite. The Schwinn ACs have it. Here's some of our custom bikes. Now, I want to give you some quick information. We have the only lifetime warranties in the world that I know of from a real company with real storefronts and real license and insurance. But here's another thing. You can call me directly 7 days a week, 10 a.m. to 10 p.m., 888-909-BIKE. That's a toll-free number. 310-664-1375. Cell phone is 818-470-2204. When you call, leave your name, leave your number, and give me some information about the application. That's all I have for now. This is Jeff Wimmer from Studio Cycles and StudioCycles.com, and I want to thank you for watching this video, and best of luck to you on your road to health and fitness.